After several months of delay, the trial of the so-called doomsday author and prophet, Chad Daybell, starts today. Now, it seems that this couldn't have come any sooner for some people, given that this is one of the cases that shook the United States of America to its core. Now, Chad Daybell's wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, was convicted last year and sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, which she's still serving as we speak. And Chad Daybell is now having his day in court as of today. Chad Daybell was earlier this month moved to the other county jail from Eastern Idaho, where the crimes he's being prosecuted for occurred. Now, in case you are not familiar with the case, you can just go back to my playlist. I have a whole playlist on this case. Just look out for Lori Vallow Daybell. It details out what they did to their kids and what they did to, or what they are accused of doing to their kids, let me put it that way, and what they are accused of doing to some other people, including Chad Daybell's own former wife, prior to him getting married to Lori Vallow, who would then move on to become Lori Vallow Daybell. Now, this case attracted so much attention, not just from the United States of America, but also from the world as a whole, because I'm here in Ghana and I was following this case keenly because of the gruesome nature of it and the education therein, looking at how parents and seemingly religious people who should know better ended up perpetrating such heinous crimes against people, most of whom were either trusting them or were in a vulnerable position at their hands. Now, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow were originally going to be tried together, but then at a point their cases were split, where Lori Vallow Daybell was first prosecuted and then found guilty and sentenced to the 3 consecutive life sentences, and then the trial of Chad Daybell was subsequently scheduled to kickstart on the 1st of April 2024. Now, at that time, for some, it seemed like this was a date that was going to take too long in coming, but hey, we are here and the trial is starting. So, where do you think this is going to go? Let's first look at the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell and try to compare how Chad Daybell's trial is likely to go. Let's just try and play a comparison of the 2 trials here. Now, the jury process has already been done. With the jury selection has happened, and then the court is expecting that it will be finalized in a week. Now, after a jury is selected, arguments will be made by prosecutors and Chad Daybell's attorney. The whole trial is actually expected to take 8 to 10 weeks. Yeah, 8 weeks, that is give or take 2 months. 10 weeks, that's like 2.5 months. So worst case, by 2.5 months, this case should be open and shut. And I don't know how the verdict is going to go, but if I'm to guess, looking at how it played out for Lori Vallow Daybell and looking at the news and the reports of evidence out there seeming to implicate Chad Daybell in some of these things they are accused of, it doesn't seem likely to me that Chad Daybell could possibly beat this case. I don't know how good his attorneys are, but sometimes you just can't beat the case. But then, there have also been instances where some people have beaten such cases, where it seemed like the odds were against them, their backs were against the wall. Sometimes they would end up being fortunate to beat a case based on technicality. I don't know if that is going to play out here for Chad Daybell, but then the disadvantage of having 2 trials of course in its strings over a longer period of time is, it drags a bit, and it's also costly to the taxpayers involved. But then you can't also look at the other side and say it's nothing, because I think this case was severed because of the justice that they wanted to met out. Looking at the gruesome nature of the crime, they felt probably that it would have been better trying the accused people separately instead of jointly. And I'm in no position to criticize that decision. I think that the court made a decision that was best depending on what they were looking at, and I respect that. Now, I'm expecting similar witnesses and evidence to manifest in Chad Daybell's case as was used in Lori Vallow Daybell's case, because it seems like most, if not all, of the offenses are the same that were leveled against Lori Vallow Daybell. So it wouldn't be surprising if we have similar witnesses and evidence in Chad Daybell's case, which would even include witnesses coming from all the way in Arizona. Now, unlike Lori Vallow Daybell's trial, where her defense didn't call any witnesses or present any evidence, I wouldn't be surprised if Chad Daybell's attorney plans to call his own experts. But again, I can't tell if Chad Daybell himself will also want to take the stand. But one thing that is worth noting is that he has probably had enough time to prepare, especially looking at how things played out in the trial and verdict of his wife, Lori Vallow Daybell. He probably have learned some lessons from it, and I'm sure it has helped him better prepare for his own day in court. But then again, that is not to underestimate the potency and competence of the prosecutors, because I'm sure they will anticipate this. So I don't expect that they'll be going the same way they went with that of Lori Vallow Daybell. Even if they will, I'm sure they will vary some things. I'm sure they will have various tactics on how they are going to approach this. That is how the day in court will play out. But unfortunately, like I've been saying, in all this, the damage has already been done. The victims have already been victimized, so to speak. But we are still looking forward to justice playing out. Now, another difference between the case of Lori Vallow Daybell and that of Chad Daybell is that, unlike Lori Vallow Daybell, who was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, Chad Daybell, on the other hand, is facing the death penalty. So that decision would be up to a jury if Chad Daybell is eventually convicted in this case. Now, this is where the stakes are high for Chad Daybell, because if he is found guilty, he's not going to have, in quotes, the luxury that his wife is having in serving 3 consecutive life sentences. He is going to face the death penalty if a jury so deems it. Now, these are interesting days ahead, and these 2 months to 2.5 months of the trial, I'm going to follow them, and I'll bring you updates as and when they are due. But how do you think this is going to go? Do you think Chad Daybell has any chance of beating this case? Honestly, I don't think he has. If he beats it, it's going to be one of my biggest surprises in 2024. But you let me know what you think. I would want to know what you think and why you think it's going to be the way you think it's going to be. But what do you also expect per this trial? Assuming he's found guilty and convicted, how do you think the jury is going to go? Will they go for the death penalty or they won't? Well, given that some of the victims were kids, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, if he is convicted. I wouldn't be surprised. But I keep my fingers crossed. I'll be following the case. I'll bring you updates as and when they are due. Subscribe if you are yet to do so. Turn on post notifications. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there. Thank you for watching.